Hello and welcome to revision classes on television. Today, we will be having a session in mathematics. Our guide is Abiodun Idowu, and our focus today is surds.
What are surds? Surds are sets of irrational numbers. We refer to them as irrational numbers because we cannot express surds with an integer. They are always going to come up with recurring fractions or decimals. Examples of surds. Let me write the definition of surds on the board first. Surds are sets of irrational numbers because we cannot represent them with integers. Now, what are the examples of surds? Examples are root 2, root 3, root 5, and so on. If I need to evaluate root 2, I'm going to come up with 1.4 and so on. That is a recurring decimal. The same thing is applicable to root 3 and root 5. That is actually why this collection is referred to as surds. But we have another type that they will have the square root sign, but they are not surds. Examples are, if we have root 4, root 9, root 16, root 25. If you look at all these ones on the board, they are not surd. Why are they not surd? Because root 4 is the same as 2, and 2 is an integer. Root 9 is the same as 3, and 3 is an integer. So what I'm trying to tell you is that root 4, root 9, root 16, and root 25, they are not surd. Are not surds. Why are they not surd? Despite the fact that we use them anytime we are solving problems involving surds, does not make them surd because they are not irrational numbers. 2 is a whole number. It is not a recurring decimal like root 2. Likewise, 4 is a whole number. It's not a recurring decimal like in case of root 5. So you need to know how to distinguish between a surd and a number that is not surd. Despite the fact that we are going to be working with both of them. So at this point, I'm going to talk about how do you simplify a surd, or how do you simplify surds. To simplify surds, you have to be mindful of perfect squares. That is, if I want to simplify surd, my attention should be on perfect squares. Now, what are perfect squares? These are numbers with integer square roots. Now, I'll list some of them on the board. Integers square roots. Examples, we have 1, we have 4, we have 9, 25, 36, 49, 81, 64, 100, 121, 144. Anytime I need to simplify surd, these are the numbers I have to put into consideration. I'll use this. If any one of them is a factor of the surd I need to simplify, then I have to use this particular number. That is, I have to use those ones that are perfect squares. Another way of simplifying a surd, especially fractional surd, is to apply what we call rationalization. If I have a surd as part of my denominator, then I'm going to use the method we refer to as rationalization to simplify. What do I mean? If I need to simplify something like 3 divided by root 2, because my denominator is a surd, then I'm going to rationalize by multiplying by root 2 divided by another root 2. What I've done here, the procedure is called rationalization. I've not actually changed the question, because if you look at root 2 all over root 2, it is the same as 1. So I can do the multiplication. 3 multiplied by root 2 is going to be 3 root 2. Root 2 multiplied by root 2 is going to be 2. As far as I don't have any surd in my denominator, I've been able to simplify 3 divided by root 2. So those are the 2 lines of simplification we are going to be looking through anytime we are simplifying a surd. Now we are going to look at an example to illustrate how to simplify a surd. The particular question, if root 2 plus 3 divided by root 3 is simplified as m plus n into root 6, we have to find the value of m plus n. So for this question, the solution can go this way. Since there is a single denominator, I can split the 2 into 2 different parts. That is, having root 2 plus root 3, all divided by root 3, can be written as root 2 divided by root 3 plus root 3 divided by root 3. So at this point, this is the same as root 2 divided by root 3 plus 1, because root 3 divided by root 3 is going to be 1. Now there is need for me to rationalize this particular side. So to rationalize that, I'll multiply by root 3 divided by root 3. Then I have my plus 1. So root 2 times root 3 is going to be root 6. Then root 3 times root 3 is going to be 3. Then plus 1. So at this point, I can write my result as 1/3 root 6 plus 1. This result can also be written such that 1 will come first. That is 1 plus 1/3 root 6. If I compare this with m plus n root 6, it implies that m is the same as 1 and n is going to be 1/3. The examiners want me to find the value of m plus n. So what it implies is I need to add 1 and 1/3 together. So adding the 2 of them together, my 1 can be written as 3 all over 3 plus 1/3. That is 3 all over 3 is still the same thing as 1. So that the addition will finally be 4 out of 3, or 1/3. So we've been able to find the value of m plus n as required by the question. This is another question we are required to simplify. If you look at this, we have a surd in the denominator, and that surd can be simplified. So I'm going to start with the simplification of that surd. So the solution of this, I can say this is 15 divided by root 75 can be broken down using the perfect square. So I'm going to write it as root 25 multiplied by root 3. Then plus root 108 can also be broken down using the perfect square. So I'm going to write it as root 36 multiplied by root 3. I'm using the perfect square. 36 is a perfect square. 25 is a perfect square. Likewise, root 432 can be broken down to be root 144 multiplied by root 3. So at this point, I'll now start simplification. So root 25 is actually going to be 5. So this will be 15 divided by 5 root 3. Because root 25 is 5. Plus root 36 is 6 root 3. Root 144 is 12 root 3. So I can simplify this. 15 divided by 5 is going to be 1/3. It's going to be 3. So this is 3 divided by root 3 plus 6 root 3 plus 12 root 3. So there is need for me to rationalize this because it's having a surd in the denominator. So this will be 3 out of root 3 multiplied by root 3 out of root 3 again, then plus 6 root 3 plus 12 root 3. This multiplied by this will be 3 root 3 divided by root 3 times root 3 is going to be 3. Then plus 6 root 3 plus 12 root 3. So at this point, 3 can cancel out 3. So I'm going to be left with root 3 plus 6 root 3, then plus 12 root 3. So I'm going to do my addition. Root 3 plus 6 root 3 is going to be 7 root 3. That is these two, 7 root 3, then plus 12 root 3. So doing this addition, I'm going to have 19 root 3 as the final result. It's like saying 7 root 3 plus 12 root 3 is going to be 19 root 3. You can put the solution down in your notebooks. So we have question number 3 on the board. We are required to simplify root 2 into root 6 plus 2 root 2, bracket closed, minus 2 root 3. So to answer this, we are going to remove the bracket first. We have root 2 into root 6 plus 2 root 2 minus 2 root 3. To remove the bracket, we have root 2 multiplied by root 6. That is going to be root 12. Then root 2 multiplied by 2 root 2 is going to be 2 multiplied by 2. What happened here is that this particular 2 is the one here. Then root 2 multiplied by root 2 is 2. Then I'm going to add this finally. That is minus 2 root 3. So at this point, I can simplify root 12. I'm going to simplify root 12 using the perfect square. The perfect square that is a factor of 12 is 4. So instead of writing root 12, I'm going to write root 4 into root 3. Then 2 times 2 is going to be 4. Then minus 2 root 3. The root of 4 is 2. Why this will remain as root 3, then plus 4 minus 2 root 3. So at this point, we can only add surds together. We cannot add a surd and a number together. So in this case, I'm going to bring this sword and this particular one together. So I have 2 root 3 minus 2 root 3. Then the number will now follow. So 2 root 3 minus 2 root 3 is 0. So we are actually left with 4. So if I need to simplify this particular expression on the board, I'm going to end with what? 4. The first thing we do is to remove the brackets. After removing bracket, bring all the sorts together, and then we simplify accordingly. And when we are simplifying sort, we have two modes. We simplify using the perfect square, or we simplify by rationalization. We have been coming across simple rationalization. It's not that maybe the solution is just the way I've solved it exactly. There are so many methods that can be adopted, and if you are adopting those methods, provided what you are doing is correct, we are getting the same result. You can put this result in your notes. Looking at question number 4, we are asked to simplify 2 root 28 minus 3 root 50 plus root 72. So the solution to this, we have 2 root 28 minus 3 root 50, then plus root 72. We'll simplify using the perfect squares. So root 28 can be written as root 4. We are using 4 before because 4 is a perfect square. Then this is root 7. Root 4 multiplied by root 7 is root 28. We are going to simplify this also. We have 3. Root 50 can be expressed as root 25 multiplied by root 2. Then plus root 72 can be expressed as root 36 multiplied by root 2. So at this point, we'll simplify those perfect square that we have. So this is 2. Root of 4 is 2. Then I have root 7. Then this is 3. Root 25 is 5. Then I have root 2. Then root 36 is 6. Then I have root 2. So 2 times 2 is 4 root 7. Minus 3 times 5 is 15 root 2. Then plus 6 root 2. We have similar sort here. They are both in root 2. So this is 4 root 7 minus 15 root 2 plus 6 root 2 will be minus 9 root 2. So at this point, this is root 7 and this is root 2. They are not similar sort, so our simplification cannot go beyond this level unless we want to put it in decimal. So we are going to stop at this particular level because they are not similar sort. You can put the solution in your notebooks. Looking at this particular question, we are to simplify root 108 plus root 125 minus root 75. So our solution, we have root 108 plus root 125, then minus root 75. Root 108 is the same as root 36 multiplied by root 3. Root 125 is the same as root 25 multiplied by root 5. And root 75 is the same as root 25 multiplied by root 3. So at this point, we'll simplify. Root 36 is 6, root 3. That is, this is 6, then the root 3. Plus root 25 is 5. Then this root 5 will be in place. Then minus root 25 here is also 5. root 3. Now we are going to bring the similar sorts together. 6 root 3 and 5 root 3 will come together. So we have 6 root 3 minus 5 root 3, then plus 5 root 5. So 6 root 3 minus 5 root 3 is just going to be root 3. Then we now have plus 5 root 5. So at this point, there's nothing we can do again. We have been able to simplify the expression, so we can put our results down. Now moving on to question number 6, we are required to simplify 3 minus root 2 all divided by 4 plus root 3. So to simplify this, we have a binomial sort as the denominator. So we are going to use the conjugate of the denominator. What is the conjugate of this particular binomial sort? It is still going to be 4, but the sign will be reversed. That is, we'll alternate the sign. The sign is now going to be negative. Instead of using 4 plus root 3, I'm going to use 4 minus root 3. If it were to be minus that we have there, I'll use plus. So what I'm going to do is to write the main question given, which is this. Then, because I have 4 plus root 3, I'm going to multiply by the conjugate, which is going to be 4 minus root 3 divided by 4 minus root 3. Now at this point, let me remove this multiplication sign because the bracket can serve the purpose of multiplication. Now 3 minus root 2 multiplied by 4 minus root 3. That is, we have 3 minus root 2 multiplying 4 minus root 3. All divided by 4 plus root 3 multiplying 4 minus root 3. If you look at this, we have the expansion of difference of two squares. So instead of doing an elaborate work here, I can write this to be 4 squared. That is the square of the 4. It will always be minus, then root 3 squared. If you multiply this with this, the denominator, you get this. So let me expand the bracket in the numerator. 3 multiplied by 4 is 12. 3 multiplied by minus root 3 is going to be minus 3 root 3. Minus 2 multiplied by 4 will be minus 4 root 2. Minus 2 multiplied by minus root 3 is going to be plus root 6. All divided by 4 squared is 16. Root 3 squared is 3. So at this point, there's nothing I can simplify in the numerator again because we don't have similar sort. It's only one number we have there, which is 12. So we can leave the numerator the way it appears. But the denominator, 16 minus 3, is actually going to be 13. So I can write my final result as 12 minus 3 root 3 minus 4 root 2 plus 6. I mean, this is root 6. Then we now have 13. So we've been able to simplify this particular fractional sort. When you have a binomial sort like this particular one, the conjugate will just be when we change the sign. If it is plus, we change it to minus. If it is minus, we change it to plus. Then we now rationalize. What we are doing here is to rationalize. This will not in any way change the question because if you cross this out, it's just like multiplying the main question by 1. So the procedure is still intact. We're actually simplifying that particular fractional sort. Now, two things we have mentioned here. If you need to simplify a sort, it's either you are working with the perfect square or you are rationalizing using the conjugate of the sort you have in the denominator. So anytime you are to simplify a sort, the options that must come to mind is for you to pay attention to the perfect squares. The perfect squares are number 1, number 4, number 9, number 36, number 16, number 25, number 36, and so on. So you can use the perfect square. And if you are not using a perfect square, if you are dealing with a fractional sort, then you rationalize the fractional sort by looking at the denominator. Use the conjugate of the denominator in case of a fractional sort. And then remember, you can only add or subtract similar sort. Before you start addition or subtraction, you have to ensure that you simplify the sort so that you'll be able to see similar sorts. Because if they are not similar sorts, you cannot do addition. If they are not similar, you cannot do subtraction. Take note of this fact and put the result in your notebooks.
You can subscribe to NTA series on YouTube to watch or download past episodes of revision classes on television. That's the much we can take on the program today. Do join us next time for another educating session.
Finally, the hero of Nigeria's democracy has arrived. He shall usher us into a new phase of development, peace, and prosperity. He is the father of the new Nigeria, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. Welcome to another season of giving Nigerians hope yet again. We are sure of a great future for both ourselves and generations yet unborn. We look forward to your leading us as a nation into our manifest destiny. Though the challenges against us as a people are many, we know that your leadership shall set us on the right path to our greatness. A new dawn beckons on us all, and having you as our president is a precursor to this. Thank you for believing in Nigeria. This message is from the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
This week on Executive Discuss.
Home is bigger than anywhere else.
But some people will see it as, yes, they can make their home anywhere.
Yes, I can make my home everywhere, but home is where the heart is.
The housing solution we have developed is a multifaceted one. First, we have tried to lead a program to build what we think will be an acceptable and hopefully affordable housing type based on surveys we did in 2015-2016 and construction that started in 2017. And that's going on in 34 states as the National Housing Program.
This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
The Ministry of Works and Housing has the responsibility to help improve the quality and the quantity of the road infrastructure assets, which are the roads and the bridges and the highways. At the moment, we have over 13,000 kilometers of road network under repair, reconstruction, or rehabilitation out of the existing 35,000 kilometers of federal road network. These 13,000 kilometers are comprising about 850 different contracts which the ministry superintends across Nigeria. We are fulfilling the mandate of our ministry to expand the connectivity of Nigeria's states and by extension the towns and villages through road transport.
The Star TV network is a joint venture between the Nigerian Television Authority and Star Communications of China. The 1,000 Villages project is an initiative that was agreed between China and African governments in FOCAC. The federal government selected the 1,000 villages, and out of the 1,000, every local government in the country got at least one village. There are 2 projector TVs which were supposed to be installed in communal viewing centers. The government allowed the traditional rulers of each community to decide where to site the projector TVs. And then 20 families also got 20 decoders for free. For the communal viewing centers, they didn't have to pay any subscription. The subscription is already paid by the Chinese government for the next 5 years. And they had access to more than 20 channels.
Last 1.5 years or so since the advent of the COVID-19 pandemic, we've seen massive changes in the way we do things at NPH-CDA. Working with the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, we were able to actually roll out in the first couple of weeks a massive community-based program that looked at how we could quickly mitigate the impacts of COVID-19 in the communities. So we rolled out a training that involved over 220,000 primary healthcare workers all across Nigeria. We're seeing how we've been able to now achieve pre-COVID levels in terms of the routine immunization services. That is really, really impressive, and really my heart goes out to all of the primary healthcare workers. They've done such an amazing job, along, of course, with all of the health workers that have been in the front line.
This present government has done a lot on the train modernization. They came in and completed the Abuja Kaduna, and we have 9 stations there, 5 stopping stations and 4 crossing stations, making 9. And when we started in 2016, we started with 2 trips, then we later moved on to 8 trips. And we are talking about moving to 14 trips a day, and we have been able to send 10 DMUs, 10 coaches, and 2 locomotives new. We have 12 stations on the Takbere line. It's about 312 kilometer length of track, and it's over 35 years old. And the government came and took it up, finished the track, built modern stationing, and the stations are finished. Working on the signaling. We all hope to start the commercial operation by the end of September.
I'm the Chief Resident Engineer and Project Supervisor of the Second Niger Bridge Project. The Second Niger Bridge Project is a project that has been conceived for a very long time, but it has finally come to life during this present administration. This project has a lot of socio-economic benefits, and it has impacted positively on the lives of the host communities, both in Anambra State and Delta State. The people are very happy. The host communities, they partnered with us because apart from the social benefits, indigenes are also employed on this project. We can see how their lives are being improved.
This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
This week on Executive Discuss.
Home is bigger than anywhere else.
But some people will see it as, yes, they can make their home anywhere.
Yes, I can make my home everywhere, but home is where the heart is.
We should understand that the well-being and the security of this country is the paramount to any government. Prior to now, we are doing more of defensive activities to protect our bases and fight the war when we are challenged or when an objective is attacked. But right now, what we do is to carry the battle into areas where the banditries or the Boko Harams or whatever. The Nigerian Army has brought into its platforms the BT tanks, main battle tanks, helicopters, Augusta 135, the MiG helicopters, which can operate even in the night, the Super Tucanos that are about to be launched.
This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
The Digital Switchover project, which is commonly referred to as DSO, which entails television channels switching from analog to digital broadcasting, is one of the biggest projects embarked upon by this administration. Branded as Free TV, offers its viewers about 60 digital channels, including sports, music, movies, and news. The federal government has licensed about 23 set-top box manufacturers. 7 of them have self-production, employing several thousands of people. We've made it now compulsory for all stations in Nigeria to only broadcast productions made in Nigeria for products which are produced in Nigeria.
COVID-19, that is the black swan of the century, has actually hit the whole world very hard, even the strongest of economies, and Nigeria was not spared. But due to the proactive stance and steps that the president has taken, we've been able to come out quickly. The president has consistently said we must invest in infrastructure. Even as we're investing in human capital, that we must invest in infrastructure, because at the end of the day, that is what will bring about a sustainable economic growth. So the president has given us our directive. He has said you must make sure you pay salaries and pay pensions, but you also make sure that the critical projects of roads, railway, airports, bridges, major infrastructure that are meant to drive the growth of the economy, that we consistently invest in them, even if we have to continue to borrow to do so.
This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
The housing solution we have developed is a multifaceted one. First, we have tried to lead a program to build what we think will be an acceptable and hopefully affordable housing type based on surveys we did in 2015-2016 and construction that started in 2017. And that's going on in 34 states as the National Housing Program.
This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Since coming into office in 2015, the Buhari administration has recorded unprecedented achievements in all sectors, especially in the provision of infrastructure, which is the key to economic growth. Never in the history of this country has any administration done so much with so little. Recall that when this administration came into office, the price of crude oil, which provides for 80% of Nigeria's budgetary revenues and 95% of foreign exchange earning, dropped drastically, thus reducing the amount of resources available to the federal government. In spite of this, the administration has continued apace with massive infrastructure developments.
This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
This week on Executive Discuss.
Home is bigger than anywhere else.
But some people will see it as, yes, they can make their home anywhere.
Yes, I can make my home everywhere, but home is where the heart is.
Arise, O Nigerians. Let's applaud the courage of Flight Lieutenant Abayomi Dairo, aka the Aggressor, for his skillful and dogged escape from the bloodthirsty bandits in the forest of Zamfara State. 3 hearty cheers also to all military and security personnel who are tirelessly protecting fellow Nigerians from insurgency and banditry while maintaining peace and order. Nigerians are proud of Abayomi Dairo and all our gallant men and women in uniform for sacrificing so much to keep us safe. We admire your courage and we say thank you. God bless the armed forces. God bless Nigeria. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
We started with a very aggressive response from the very beginning. If you remember the very first case in Nigeria, very well contained, very few infections arose from that. We started airport screenings and temperature checks way before anyone really understood what was going on. On the front lines of the response, the team here at the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, supported all the 36 states. At some point, we had teams in 32 of our 36 states concurrently, leading the response, the emergency operations centers, making sure we're getting the surveillance data, building up our information resources on our website. Our website became one of the most visited websites on the continent, as many other African countries were looking to the leadership Nigerians provided. At our Incident Coordination Center, people were working literally 14, 15 hours every single day.
This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
The center is in Kano as well as the entire Northwest region. It's equipped with modern technological equipment in terms of radiological services. We have MRI 1.5 Tesla. We have digital X-ray as well as 4D ultrasound equipment. The importance of the center cannot be overemphasized. Just within 1 year, the center attended to thousands and numerous patients as well as medical examinations. NKDC is established in order also to provide these healthcare facilities at a discounted price.
This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
We are all Nigerians. Against all odds, we shall and must remain united. We may have our challenges, our problems, and setbacks. However, together we shall overcome them all. What doesn't break us shall make us stronger. This is the mindset that shall bring peace, progress, and prosperity to our beloved country. Do not let tribal and religious sentiments govern how you think, act, or feel. Don't be influenced by those who want to destroy our precious national unity. Everybody who's a Nigerian is your brother and your sister. This is the mindset of the new Nigeria. It is also the mindset that we must all adopt. Let us support each other in creating the Nigeria of our dreams. This message is from the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
We've been trying our best to contain the situation. In our operations, we've been able to make a lot of recoveries. We've been able to also arrest suspects that are involved in this kind of activities. And we've been able to also recover, particularly arms and ammunition, from those who are carrying it unlawfully and disturbing the peace of the people. But generally, our morale in the Nigerian police is always guided by our commitment to do what we have sworn to do. Peace and security must be looked into as a priority by all, to look at security as the business of all of us.
This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
This week on Executive Discuss.
Home is bigger than anywhere else.
But some people will see it as, yes, they can make their home anywhere.
Yes, I can make my home everywhere, but home is where the heart is.
started with a very aggressive response from the very beginning. If you remember the very first case in Nigeria, very well contained, very few infections arose from that. We started airport screenings and temperature checks way before anyone really understood what was going on. On the front lines of the response, the team here at the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, supported all the 36 states. At some point, we had teams in 32 of our 36 states concurrently, leading the response, the emergency operations centers, making sure we're getting the surveillance data, building up our information resources on our website. Our website became one of the most visited websites on the continent, as many other African countries were looking to the leadership Nigerians provided. At our Incident Coordination Center, people were working literally 14, 15 hours every single day.
This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Aquaculture as a world emergent industry and one of the fastest growing food production subsector in the world. And due to the apparently declining global fish catch, aquaculture is crucial for food security and nutrition for a rapidly growing global population in the nearest future. Approximately 200 million people around the world are involved in fishing and aquaculture, one way or the other, with efforts to provide around 100 million tons of fish every year. This will mean an average consumption of 16 kilos per person, but in many places where fish is the principal source of animal protein, average consumption is far higher. Much of the bountiful harvest is produced not just by large industrial operators, but by local small and medium-scale producers. And do you know that half the fish supplied to world markets come from developing countries? In Africa, Latin America, and Asia, Africa is blessed with abundant resources, human and natural, that are only now being properly tapped and harnessed. The success story of aquaculture abound in Nigeria, Ghana, and Malawi. And we bring the focus of the world onto glaring cases in Nigeria, which is the Ijebu-Iriwe Fish Farm village in Ijebu-Ode, which rears the African catfish.
There is no end to knowledge, and the industry too, there is still room for them to learn more. So mountain training and training and retraining is also a key to enhance productivity.
Iriwe Farms has gained international recognition from bodies like FAO of the United Nations, DFID, JICA, UNDP.
On our own part is to source for more fund for them, because really speaking, there is no way you can really grow well in this kind of business without adequacy of resources. Without borrowing, without getting some loans, there is a limit on the growth. With 4,937 pounds, if they have 2 billion, access to 2 billion naira, that may not be even enough as working capital in a year.
We're one of the founders of who started aquaculture in Ghana, Crystal Lake, in collaboration with Water Research Institute. We had to do a trial to assess whether the local species could grow competitively in Ghana. And so this was partly funded by Danida. So we did that, and we established that the local species could grow competitively in Ghana. This is, of course, and taking into consideration how much tilapia is being sold in Ghana. So it proved that aquaculture could be viable in Ghana.
What we are giving out there, because previously, like I told you, you harvest your fish at the end of 6 months, and you may ask yourself, had they been hatched in the cage? But now, farmers who are the customers tells you, look, Mr. Limo, your products are good. Your fingerlings are very good. Where is the source? And we tell them the source. And I'm happy because it's a win-win situation. You grow, I grow. So whenever I get the feedback from the customers, it makes me happy. And also, we try to do extension services. All our customers that we supply, we make sure every month we go and check their body weight, help them to calculate the biomass, and advise them on what feed change, what you have to do, what you don't have to do. And I think it's helping the industry a lot.
I started, hatching and selling fingerlings. I started with 3,000. But right now, I am selling 4 million of fingerlings and 2,000 fry. I went to Nigeria last year. I learned, wow, that was a shock to me because when I saw the extent and the progress that our fellow Nigerians are doing, when I came back, I said, that is a revolution. The catfish industry in Nigeria is a revolution that is required here in Malawi.
As the global demand increases and more opportunities are created, better and improved nutrition for children with dietary requirements met by the consumption of fish. New job opportunities like feed processing, fish fingerlings, construction of net, and other fish farming related activities to drastically and effectively reduce poverty and also feed growing population.
Of all our enterprise development programs, of all of them, agriculture is the number one that has helped so many people out of poverty. Because, nobody wants to die inside poverty. Able to tell them, look, there is a way out of this poverty, and they are ready to. And when you get to the side, you now see people who are nowhere before, and today they own houses, they own cars, they have their children in good schools, they can eat well, and all that.
My name is Sunday Oyo. The business is okay because for what we are doing, I have a wife and 4 kids, and I'm living well with my kid with the business because what we are making per week is okay for me and my family.
The success recorded in the recent past years, which is already attracting investors, more national and international investors are invited to come and invest and partake of the riches of investing in aquaculture.
The act of making something more beautiful by adding ornaments to it is also known as decoration. Today, so many men and women hardly do without decorating their events. They choose the colors and the quality of materials befitting such an event. Invited guests and groups that grace the occasion normally come in their numbers with different attires conforming to the recommended colors. This practice is an indicator of cooperation and solidarity during ceremonies and festive periods. The purpose of wearing the dress can be to serve as self-identification with age mates, relations, or friends during social occasions such as weddings, funerals, or parties. The word Asho in Yoruba means cloth, and Ebi denotes family. So, Ashobi can be described as a family cloth usually worn during parties or family ceremonies or occasions. However, others call it anko, and many adopt the white man model, which is uniform.
When it first started, it was just the headgear. All the members wearing the same color. Gradually, today, They have moved down even to the dress and the handbag to match, and even shoes.
The question then is, how do we practice in our own locality in Benue State?
Because of our association with the outside world, our people are bringing it and introducing it now in Benue State.
They use it in order to make their events colorful. Almost all the Tiv traditional marriages, you see them making black and white ashobi. So for the Ibdo mass, it's red and black. Then the Igede is blue and black on the traditional marriages, and even on the white weddings, they use black and white.
How do you feel when your event is accentuated with different colorful attires?
So much excited because I will know that at least I have a group, as in people that have identified with me on my day.
I will be so excited, so joyous inside me. I will know that yes, so people, everybody will know that yes, these are so people, he belongs to them, so it makes you happy.
What happens if the guests come with attires whose colors do not correspond with those recommended?
It is not as if it is a must that you must wear ashobi. It's not for everybody. So if the chief celebrant sees somebody who is not into that attire, why will he or she not welcome the person?
There are factors that could make people to disappoint you in that way. Some, it could be that they don't have the money to afford the material given. So it could be that they don't like wearing the same clothes with so many people.
Inasmuch as decoration is aesthetic to an event, people whose attires do not conform with the color of the day should be free to partake in the merry-making or identify with others wearing the same uniform. After all, the essence of attending any party is just to celebrate with others and have a nice time. So, next time you're going out for that occasion, the choice is yours. Stay with the crowd or have your own unique identity.
This is the network service of the NTA.
From bubu to tub, kanzi to dashiki, indigenous African costumes have never ceased to fascinate